Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sneha. On behalf of NEN and Wadhwani Foundation, I would like to invite you all for the webinar and also introduce our expert, Pradeep Chopra. He is the co-founder and CEO of Digital Vidya, India's premier marketing training company. A graduate of IIT Delhi, Pradeep is among the pioneers of digital marketing in India since 1999. An international speaker and an author on digital marketing and entrepreneurship, he writes for Wall Street Journal and Entrepreneur magazine. Before I hand over the floor to Pradeep, a quick note to all our attendees. You will all be on mute. You may ask questions by typing in your questions in the panel provided. Our expert will answer the questions after his presentation. Over to you, Pradeep.
I want to thank NEN for giving me this opportunity, and thanks a lot to all of you for being here, because that gives me an opportunity to share from my experience. As I had shared, we started our first business way back in 2000, and we have seen almost 12 years in internet domain, and I have seen in some ways things have not changed. There are a lot of ways things have changed, but there are some ways still time has not changed. Some of you, if you were part of that era, you would recall, at a point of time, .com, when it got busted, there was a term which was more misused than used, was hits. So everyone was using hits as a term to drive funding, to drive advertising revenues. And from hits today, that hit has moved to something like likes. So how the journey has been: earlier everyone used to talk about hits. Then what was expected, so everything was more like expected rather than you would want to do. You were a professional, you were expected to have an email, you are a company, you are expected to have a blog. Today, if you are an organization, you are a brand, you are an institution, you are expected to have a Facebook page. And that's one reason why a large number of Facebook pages are being created on, because just for the sake of creating it, people expect you to create it. While Facebook page has immense value, but if you just create it for the sake of creating it, and then for everything about you becomes like if you look at today in India, there are hundreds of brands who are on Facebook. There are many of them who have very strong presence, like Tata Docomo. I think they have already crossed 7 million fans. They might have now crossed 6 million, MTV, Roadies, Kingfisher. So they are large brands, and there are many small brands. While number of fans are necessary, they are not at all sufficient. And if your only currency to measure success on social media, and within social media, Facebook is one of the largest components, if your currency to measure your success on Facebook is number of fans, then most likely you are at the wrong place, or you are doing something wrong. And before I talk about why I made that statement, I want to ask you a question, and I want some of you to respond. Assuming you own a Facebook community, which is like a Facebook page, and you have, say, 100,000 fans in that community. So typically how content gets consumed on Facebook is, you don't go to Facebook page if you have liked the page. When the page administrator does the post, you get that post in your newsfeed. Similarly, when your friends take certain actions, you don't go to their profile, but you get the post or the action they take in your newsfeed. So assuming 100,000 of the fans of a community which you own are online, and you as an administrator do a post. So you do a post and all of them are online. How many of them will get that post? Assuming all of them are online, all 100,000 are online, and you do a post. Can you, in the questions panel or this chat window, you will get a place to answer that. Okay, so we get 20%, everybody, 100,000, 0.3%, all of them, 20, 10%, 20 to 30%. Great. So good to see so fast response. And assuming all of them are online, we got another 100,000, all of them, all 3%. And once again, I am saying all of your 1,000 fans who have liked your page are online. and you do a post, and they are on Facebook. Not even one. Interesting. Good. 500,000. Okay, we've got more than that as well. Those who recently visited your page and get that post. Great. So we've got, different responses, but I think a good number of you are saying that everyone, or at least significant portion of them, should get it. Now, some of you, I'm sure, already would know, Facebook has something called EdgeRank algorithm. Like Google, you would have heard about PageRank. Facebook has EdgeRank. EdgeRank is an algorithm which Facebook uses to decide who and which of your fans should get your post in their newsfeed. Ultimate objective of EdgeRank is to, be relevant. Like you get the posts which are relevant to you. This is not just applicable for fan pages. This is also applicable for your friends. So Facebook uses this EdgeRank algorithm to decide when you do anything as an administrator or as an individual, how many of your friends and fans should get that post. And it has various parameters like PageRank. Google PageRank has hundreds of parameters. You don't need to worry about the technicality of that. In this case, what you need to understand is the key parameter which Facebook uses to determine EdgeRank is engagement. And at a very high level, principally, how Facebook decides, or what the logic is, if you have become a fan of a page and you have not interacted with that, means interaction could be different ways. You may go and visit the page, you may write a comment there, you may like a post, you may like a comment, you may share a post, you may RSVP to an event by that page, you may participate in an application. The whole point is, if you are not interacting with the page or even your friend, Facebook considers that you are no more interested. And thus, the fans of your page who have not interacted with you don't even get the post. So, even if you have 100,000 fans and if you have not been engaging with them, they will not get your post. And on average, this number is 16%. So Social Bakers, or I think Social Media Today, one of them did a study where they saw that 16% is the average. 16% of the fans on average get the post. So the message here is, end of the day, more than the number of fans, it's the engagement which is important. While number of fans are necessary and they're important, I wouldn't discount that, because if you have a small community, the value of engagement will anyways be lower. But if you are not causing engagement, then you have those fans or not is not much different. And I think that's like a foundation, and which is true in anywhere on social media. Even if it's on Twitter or even on LinkedIn, except some advertising where there may not be any engagement. Social media, if you want to get value of social media for anything, including direct leads or customer acquisition, the most important thing you need to worry about or give attention to is engagement. So with this foundation, let's go forward. I would say there are three ways social media helps you acquire customers. One is influence, and I'll share examples in all. Second is you get leads, and third is you have direct sales. And all of these could be applicable for all kinds of businesses, or they could be applicable. Some of these could be applicable for you. For example, if your business is such that transaction happens offline, so online sale would not happen. You will have probably an influence or a lead. But if you are an e-commerce business, then end-to-end transaction may happen online. So from Twitter till the final sale, it can happen on the platform itself. So let's look into each one of them. And I want to share this one interesting fact, which reinforces the importance and value of social media. Only 20% of marketing budgets are typically spent on retention. Yet, in many cases, 75% of revenue comes from existing customers. It's from this flip that funnel. So it says is, while everyone focuses on reaching out to new people, in many cases, a significant amount of revenue comes from existing customers. And it's always best to get more revenue from the existing customers than try to get new revenue from new customers. And social media is one of the best tools for you to build relationship, increase the lifetime value of the customer. And we will see, various examples. So let's look into first influence. I'm sure some of you or many of you would know about this brand called Hippo. Hippo is, if some of you still don't know, Hippo is a brand which is into chips like Lay's. And they have a very interesting positioning. So one of their positioning is like, they say people who are hungry are dissatisfied, frustrated, angry, and thus not so satisfied or successful. However, and people who are not hungry are generally successful because you don't have stress, you are efficient. And hippopotamus, having the biggest mouth, is never hungry, and if you eat hippo, you will never be hungry. So their whole marketing campaign is all about fighting hunger, and that's how everywhere they communicate. That's one part. Now they have something very interesting. If you notice this bio or the description on their Twitter, if you read it, let me read it for you. Hippo make munchies to fight hunger because world be better if no one hungry. Hippo say anything that not kill hippo will only make hippo better hunger fighter. So one is all about their campaign about fighting hunger. Then another thing, if you notice, do you notice something, the way the English is being written here? And also if you have purchased Hippo's product, you may also notice the English they use on their even packaging. And what interesting example I want to share here is, while we were doing our workshop once in Delhi, we were sharing example of Hippo, and what had happened was they responded on Twitter. Oops. Just a minute. No, it's fine. Yeah. They had asked on Twitter. They said, "Katti," which is like we are not happy with you. You did not invite us to participate in our workshop. We responded back, and they responded, and I said, "We will be happy to have you share your case study. Why don't you write to us?" And this is a mail I got. Dear Pradeep, Hippo say, first of all, Hippo happy to know you like Hippo. But Hippo also want to know if you also joining Hippo army to fight hunger. Hippo also happy that you sharing Hippo effort with more big people in social media. So if you need any information or recipe, you can contact, which is their creative agency. He Hippo friend and also very helpful. Hippo say waiting to hear from you. Okay, bye bye now. Papa Hippo needs his computer. Love Hippo. Now if you notice this, say everything they talk is like that. So there is a hunger fighter as a campaign, and also they talk in this broken English. Now how it impacted me was, I exchanged this message, and on Twitter, I had gone to buy Lay's to a shop, and then I saw Hippo packets were there. That reminded me of this engagement, and then I thought, let me try out. That day I bought Hippo, though originally I wanted to buy Lay's. I liked it. It's supposed to be more delicious, and since then, I have moved from Lay's to Hippo. Now, if you see, that's how social media, whether you know or not, or whether you are able to, will you be able to measure or not, plays a role in influencing the decision of your customers or prospects towards your product or service. The point is, if you are able to engage with them in something that is relevant and probably emotional, you are likely influencing their decision towards you. So, again, the focus has to be on something being relevant, and you engage around your product or your brand, and then you will not even realize the impact it will make in their taking decision towards you. And they may be referring, like I've been talking about this case study, that in one example has got them so many customers now. That's like I am becoming their brand ambassador. Another interesting thing they also do is they also, at times those who are active send them this gift hamper, which says certified hunger fighter. I also got this. And typically, for a large brand like them, sending this hamper does not cost them anything. But typically, people on Twitter, they share it. And the amount of buzz it further creates is a huge value. So that's one. Now, another interesting way is the influence happens is, this is a watch by a Titan called HTSC, which works on light. Now, on their Facebook page, they have this application, so we are a watch. This application also works on light. So what happens is, this area, if you see, will be black. If you go to the page, it says point, you have a webcam or not. If you have a webcam, you point your any light source, it could be your mobile or a torch, and this watch starts appearing. And then you can create a customized picture which will have your photo wearing the watch, and then you share it. So again, what they are doing is they are simulating the same experience which this watch has in general, like it works on live, to have you experience it such that it has a high recall and influence you towards you buying this watch. Another, way social media influence, this is our own example. On LinkedIn, there is something called company page. Earlier it used to be company profile. And the biggest advantage company page today gives is, it gives you a recommendation which stays for you on your company page for your product. Earlier, the recommendation you used to get, you only had a choice to get it for an individual. Now we have this social media marketing workshop, which is our key product or a service on LinkedIn company page, and we ask people to recommend our participants. And there are around 60 recommendations we have. If someone asks us how good or bad our workshops are, I don't have a better page than this or a better link than this. And we know that there's a huge amount of business we have been able to generate because of this. So that way again, we at times or most of the time would not be able to know that this influenced a decision, but when we ask people, they share with us. And there was a large deal we got once through LinkedIn, which was around $35,000 worth deal which had come through LinkedIn. And that was, someone had influenced the decision on LinkedIn. So let me share now examples of social media which helps generate leads. This was one interesting example by, again, Titan. They were running this offer of 40% discount, and they launched this special offer called Fantastic Offer, which is they give special discount to the fans of the page, which is special 15% discount. And what you have to do is you have to click on this generate code, and you have to give your mobile number. And this code comes to you as an SMS. So you get a voucher code as an SMS. And this campaign, they were expecting X number of redemptions. And they got 50 times more than what they were expecting. So again, something very small. This is not any technical application or any large technical application. Has a strong connect between offline and online, and you are able to measure, and is impacting your top line. This is another way where people influence, and a lot of brands have started doing that. You are launching something. The whole idea is to reach out to relevant audience, and I have seen a lot of small businesses also. The best opportunity is to use influencers. Like Gillette, the best part is on Twitter, you can reach out to anyone and everyone. It's open. Like Gillette, mentioned me this. Would you like to receive a sample of our latest product? DM your details. So given they could find out who are the influencers on Twitter, they just directly reach out to me. And typically if they send us samples, unfortunately in this case they did not, or they did not respond to my response as well, people share as a sake of courtesy. And the amount of buzz influencers can generate for you can be huge. So similarly in your industry, if you can identify who are the influencers and you reach out to them, it could be for a sample, it could be for a review, it could be something else. The amount of influence they can make is unbelievable. Then lead generation, one part of, a lot of people say social media, there is no direct ROI or no direct measurable ROI. One part of social media is, or particularly on Facebook, is Facebook advertising. The best part about Facebook advertising is you can target. You can target people based on location, based on gender, based on age, based on the companies they have worked for, the colleges they are currently working, even on their birthday. So we run workshops, social media workshops, and for our workshops we run ads on Facebook where we target people based on their interest, profile, gender, age, everything, and location, of course. So this is like an ad we have. When people click on an ad, there is a landing page. When people fill on the form, we get to know where did this lead come from. So it's a pure lead generation campaign. It's a plug and play. You can start it, do it the way you want to do it, stop it the moment you want to stop it. With few, small amount of money, you can do a test for any product or a service. So as long as your audience is on Facebook, which in most of the cases is, this can be one most effective short-term experimentable campaign for you to do lead generation. like you do Google AdWords. Some of you might be already doing it, but pure lead generation campaign is possible. Let's look into some example of sales, and then we will get into Q&A so that I can answer more specific questions. Like as I had shared, you can run Facebook ads for a lead generation campaign. You can run Facebook ads purely for, if you are an e-commerce company, or in your case, if the transaction can happen online, you can run ads where you would be able to measure till the end. So if your transaction is happening on your website, you would exactly know how many people, like how many impressions of your ad happened, how many clicks happened, what was the cost per click, how many visitors came, how many leads got generated, if there is a lead generation, or in case of shopping cart, before the transaction there could be, till one place they went. And if the transaction is complete on your website, you would be able to find out if it's a complete transaction. So you know that this is the amount I spent and this is the money we got. Then there are applications on ways on Facebook where the whole transaction can happen on Facebook itself. So that's another way where end-to-end transaction happens and you can measure. A lot of organizations, like again the kind of organizations which have a product to sell, Infibeam for example, you can, through Facebook post itself, you will be able to track exactly how much revenue you generated, because like in this post you have a link which takes your fans or visitors of the page to the site, and you will be able to track with Google Analytics itself how much of sales happened because of those Facebook posts. So you know when you are doing a post what impact it made. This is one interesting example of Twitter being used for social media for a restaurant. How many of you are aware about this called Fasos? Can you just, if you know, can you just say you know about it? If you know about Fasos, just say on the chat. Okay. Some of you said no, okay. Few of you know about this. So Fasos is a restaurant in Pune now in Bombay as well, which sells something like wraps or rolls, kati kebab, like kebab and rolls. Now a friend of mine ended up building this system for them called Tweet to Order. If you look at Domino's example, some of you, I'm sure many of you would have experienced, when you make a call to Domino's, from your phone number, Domino's know your address, at times they know your name as well. Similarly, if you are a customer to Fasos, you have your unique Twitter ID. Along with the Twitter ID, you have your address and phone number. So everyone has a unique Twitter ID, like you have a unique phone number. Then what you have to do is, you will just say @Fasos for kebabs. That's it. So what you have to do is, if you want to order through Fasos, you will say @Fasos for kati kebab rolls. That's it. Because they know from your Twitter ID, they would know your address and phone number, they will be able to deliver. Now, what is the beauty of this system is, one is people who are on Twitter, and I'm sure some of you live on Twitter, those who are active, like too active on Twitter, their life is all about Twitter. For them, it's cool. They feel much convenient, or like making a phone call, they find it 100 times inconvenient than tweeting. That's one. Second, for an organization like them, every order is written, documented. They can manage multiple orders at the same time. They don't need to have 5 calls running. Most important, when you are tweeting, you are letting your followers know that I'm buying this product from this company. So I don't think there can be anything better than that word of mouth, where anyone who's buying your product is letting their friends know that they are buying this product from you. So that's a very interesting application of Twitter, Tweet to Order. So I think I'm sharing different kinds of examples so that it opens up, some ideas for you. And I'm sure you are creative enough to think about even more creative ideas so that it impacts your customer sales and marketing essentially. Right? So I hope this helps. If you have any questions about how this works, you can ask on Q&A and I'll answer those. Then finally, this is another example of where Facebook page itself gets them the orders. If you are in Delhi, some of you would know there is a restaurant called Gunpowder Restaurant. It's based out of South Delhi in House Village. They have a very strong, small community, but very strong community. It's around 3,500, 4,000 fans. And if you go to their page, you will notice messages like this. Says, hi, we are MCRC group, want a booking for Saturday dinner, August 14th, for 15 people. Will it be possible? So people book the tables directly on their page. And I had once written about them in Wall Street Journal, and I thought, let me visit I had so far not visited. I went there. It's not a lavish restaurant, not at a very good location. 4 stories up, you have to move up the stairs. I went there, 7:30 was about to open, 7 p.m. I reached. Half of the tables were reserved. And they have now a person who is dedicated to take bookings from their Facebook page. Similarly, a lot of other companies have a lead generation form on their Facebook page where lead generation happens, but they have, direct table bookings happening. And not a large page, again, 3,500, 4,000 fans, right? So I didn't want to get into too much of content, wanted to give more examples, more ideas for you to ask your questions within this limited time. But I hope within this you got some value out of looking into how social media can influence in different ways from, indirectly influencing it to lead generation to direct sales. I'll share just, before we get into Q&A, this is a link to the presentation, which has actually more examples as well, which has some interesting videos as well. Since we had limited time here, I have not shared the entire presentation, but this is a link, this is a shortened URL, you will find it on SlideShare. So the link for the entire presentation is there. If any one of you are interested in going deeper in a hands-on case study mode to learn social media for customer acquisition and fulfill our objectives, we would be glad to have you be part of any of our upcoming workshops we have next in Delhi and Mumbai. Feel free to reach out to me on my email. This is my email ID, and on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, I have the same. So would be glad to support you in any ways.
Thank you very much, Pradeep, for that interesting session. Thank you all to our 60+ attendees for participating in the webinar. We are glad that the questions kept coming, but unfortunately due to lack of time, we are unable to answer all. Please do send in your feedback and suggestions to us at eclub@nenglobal.org. Also, if you found the session interesting, feel free to blog, tweet, or post about it on Facebook. The recorded version of the webinar will be available on our website, eclub.nenonline.org by tomorrow. Our next webinar would be held on 16th of May from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. by Gaurav Jain, founder of Mast Kalandar, on risk-taking, what does it mean for a budding entrepreneur. We look forward to your participation. Thank you once again and have a good evening.